This is Garis, Masculist, MGTOW, Flyers. That is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. This is flyer number 480, part 2, entitled Masculist Criminalizing and Sentencing of the Major Gender Crimes Committed by Women Against Men, Masculist Jurisprudence. Carrying straight on. So, the angry boyfriend/husband then goes to a lawyer in the future and uses new masculist law to have his ex-girlfriend/wife prosecuted for committing paternity fraud. Common sense tells me that if the para already exists, then the mother will be forced to take full financial responsibility for the child, since it is a principle of masculist jurisprudence that no woman has the right to dictate the existence of a child onto a man when he does not want to be a father. Women have the MARA, that's maternity rejection right. That is, women have the legislative right to reject an unwanted pregnancy, but men don't have the equivalent right, which is considered by masculists to be the most blatant form of sexual discrimination against men that exists, that screams out for reform. So the mother gets full financial responsibility for the costs of the kid in a society which is FIP, that is a FIP society, in which both sexes, especially girls, are raised by parents and teachers to be FIPs, or are strongly punished and banished by society, who will see them as fluffy manslaver vermin, if they're not. But this paternity frauding woman has committed a major crime against this man, so needs to be criminalized and sentenced. So what should her sentence be? The severity of the sentence needs to be strong enough that it is a real deterrent for women not to do it, fearing major legal and social punishment if she is a paternity fraudster, a cuckoo mother. She was prepared to force a man to pay for a kid that was not his, thus manslaving him for decades. So the sentence should be comparable, that is, no slap on the wrist, nor $1,000 fine, but comparable to crimes such as grievous bodily harm, major theft, etc. That is something like 5 to 10 years in prison. I am no expert in criminal law, so I'm just using common sense here. How to criminalize pill lying. One of the major reasons behind the masculist push for the para is to overcome the consequences of pill lying. If a boyfriend/husband makes it plain to his girlfriend/wife that he does not want her to get pregnant, then if she does, then she has no right to expect him to pay for that kid, and that if he separates or divorces her as a result, then he has that right, since in a masculisted world, no woman should have the right to dictate paternity onto a man. Such an injustice against men by women is considered by masculists as a major gender crime by women against men, and is hated by the masculists. How should such a pill-lying woman be prosecuted? She could always claim that the pill or the contraception she was using just didn't work, using plausible deniability, trying to free herself from being prosecuted by her masculist boyfriend/husband. So to pin her down to the point, so how to pin her down to the point of legal prosecution? The minimum thing that the man can do is to use the para and just walk away if he really doesn't want to be an unwilling father. But if she has been truly pill lying to him, then on what grounds, provable grounds, could he base his case that she has committed a gender crime against him? This is tricky. I can imagine a scenario in which he might be able to make such a case beyond just using the para and walking away. For example, say the woman starts nagging the man that she wants a baby, and he says no, he doesn't want one. He doesn't want to be forced for decades to pay for a kid he doesn't want. He starts keeping a diary in case the woman really wants a kid and is contemplating a strategy of pill lying. It would be in his self-interest to tell her he is keeping a diary of these baby discussions and that he explicitly asked her if she is taking the pill, since using condoms is much less sexually arousing for a man. She says to him several times that yes, she is taking the pill. He checks the pill packet she has and notices that she has not taken the pill for several days or even weeks, and she gets pregnant. He now has a case that he can take to a masculist lawyer to prosecute her for pill lying. He has the diary with its dates, so has proof that she was lying to him, since the days she said she was taking the pill corresponded to the presence of the pills for those days still existing in the pill packet, proving that she was not taking the pill those days. Pill lying is a massive crime against men, forcing a man to pay for a kid that he never wanted in the first place, making masculists hate such women, these pill liars. You can see that the above case is tricky. It may be difficult for a man to bring a watertight case of pill lying to a masculist lawyer, and women can be very cunning in getting pregnant, since that is their main raison d'etre. And women evolved to be capable of coldly, quickly, disloyally dumping a man in favour of monkey branching to a more sexploitable man if she is faced with a realistic possibility of doing so. In that sense, women are amoral about getting pregnant. Evolution does not care about the ethics of reproduction. It only cares about the survivability of genes. Women evolved to be like this. Women have an expression, quote, "All's fair in love and war." That is, they see having a baby as more important than men's rights. This kind of female thinking is one of the reasons why masculists and MGTOWs have such a deep distrust of women. That is why men, MGTOWs and masculists, say that men need to learn about the red pill. That is, about women's amoral nature. That women don't love men for the sake of men, but that women love men's sexploitability, for men's ability to make raising a child for her easier. You could say that, quote, "Men love women for women's sake, and women love men for babies' sake," end quote. Can masculist jurisprudence be applied to the most basic of masculist complaints against women, against fluffies, against the decades-lasting man-slavery of fluffy parasites? Question mark. One of the major tasks of the masculists is to put enormous moral pressure on fluffies and fluffy feminists so that they fit up or suffer enormous psychological damage when men reject them, spit at them, force them to rot on the shelf for being hated, manslaving parasites, vermin, to be exterminated slowly by being totally ignored, not even pumped and dumped. This social pressure coming from the masculists, from male classmates in high schools and campuses, against fluffy crappers, who choose to study fluffy crap majors, and hence expect to become fluffy parasites as adults, will be overwhelming, crushing, and will force women to fib up, to pour into STEM and the professions, so that men will be prepared to give them their sperm, but only after the gender laws have been men-faired. Otherwise, the masculists and MGTOWs will continue to boycott paternity, putting powerful political pressure on the gender politicians to amend fair the gender laws, or we wipe ourselves out by continuing to crash the birth rate. The masculist gender politicians in the gender equality committees in the parliaments could make a law that makes anti-fluffy classes in middle and high schools compulsory, so that young female students are made painfully conscious that if they don't fib up, then they are not going to get a man, that their male classmates will spit on them and reject them socially and sexually. Those women who, despite such pressures, go ahead and study fluffy crap majors could be penalised in terms of having their chances of getting scholarships, etc., lowered in favour of those girls who major in STEM and the professions, etc., who have an obvious FIP trajectory. I feel I've just scratched the surface of this huge issue, that is, how to create a masculist jurisprudence, so that masculist-based laws are created that are used to criminalise and sentence women for committing major gender crimes against men. Masculists are pushing for women to grow up, to FIP up, to stop sexploiting men for women's selfish, solipsistic ends, to become responsible adults and not behave as dependent, irresponsible, child-minded, bloody fluffies. Masculism needs teeth. It needs the law. It needs masculist lawyers to start thinking hard about how the law can be used to prosecute women who commit major gender crimes against men. If you are both a masculist and a lawyer, then I challenge you to start thinking as a masculist jurist and take up the masculist jurisprudence torch and help liberate billions of men from the major gender crimes committed by women against men. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Manslaves to Women, an e-textbook of 480 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses, freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.